1940. Harvard psychologist Burrhus Frederick Skinner sits in a darkened cinema watching newsreels from Europe. German bombers fly in formation over London, their payloads falling toward civilian targets below. Most bombs miss. They crater streets blocks away from intended targets, demolish buildings nowhere near military installations, kill randomly rather than strategically. The problem is not the bombs themselves, but delivery, the final seconds of descent, when wind, altitude miscalculation, and simple physics scatter explosives across neighborhoods instead of concentrating them on factories, bridges, rail yards. Skinner's mind makes connections others miss. He has spent years studying operant conditioning, training pigeons to perform complex behaviors through reward systems. His birds can distinguish shapes, recognize patterns, respond to visual stimuli with extraordinary speed and precision. They never tire of repetitive tasks. They work for food. They are, in their limited way, organic machines perfectly designed for pattern recognition. The question forms slowly, absurdly, undeniably. Could pigeons guide bombs? December 7, 1941. Pearl Harbor transforms academic speculation into military necessity. America enters a war where precision bombing will determine outcomes. Skinner writes to the National Defense Research Committee with a proposal that sounds like satire. Use pigeons as organic guidance systems. Train them to recognize targets from aerial photographs. Place them inside bombs. Let them steer toward targets they have been conditioned to identify. The committee reads his proposal and dismisses it. Skinner is labeled eccentric, his idea relegated to the growing file of wartime suggestions ranging from brilliant to insane. But the problem Skinner identified does not disappear. American bombing campaigns over Europe and the Pacific achieve poor accuracy despite improving technology. Statistics from 1942 and 1943 paint a grim picture. Only 20% of bombs dropped from high-altitude land within 1,000 feet of their intended targets. 80% scatter across surrounding areas, wasting explosives, killing inefficiently, requiring repeated missions to destroy what precision could eliminate in single strikes. Mechanical guidance systems exist but remain primitive. Gyroscopes drift. Radio-controlled bombs require line-of-sight guidance vulnerable to jamming and operator error. Early radar systems lack resolution for precision targeting. The technology will improve eventually, but eventually means months or years while the war consumes resources and lives daily. In 1943, the National Defense Research Committee reconsiders Skinner's proposal. The Pacific War has evolved into island-hopping campaigns where naval targets, supply depots, and fortified positions require precision strikes. The committee allocates $25,000 for preliminary research under the designation Project Pigeon. Skinner receives authorization to establish a classified research facility in Minneapolis, far from coastal areas where enemy agents might observe unusual activities. The project's existence is restricted to minimal personnel. Official documentation uses vague language about guidance system research, never mentioning the organic component that makes the entire enterprise sound like dark comedy rather than military science. Skinner assembles a small team of researchers, behaviorists who understand conditioning theory and can work with pigeons without questioning the sanity of weaponizing birds. They requisition equipment, construct training apparatus, and begin the systematic process of transforming urban scavengers into precision guidance systems. The underlying logic, stripped of absurdity, remains sound. Pigeons possess visual acuity superior to humans in certain wavelengths. They can distinguish patterns at speeds measured in milliseconds. They can be trained through operant conditioning to perform specific behaviors thousands of times without degradation in performance. They require minimal space, minimal resources, and ask no questions about their role in strategic bombing campaigns. If pigeons can be trained to recognize specific targets, and peck at those targets consistently. And if that pecking motion can be mechanically translated into control surfaces that adjust a bomb's trajectory, then living birds become guidance systems superior to any electronic alternative currently available. The proposal is mad. The science is sound. The war is desperate. Project Pigeon begins in earnest, funded by a military establishment willing to explore any avenue that might provide tactical advantage against enemies who have demonstrated equal willingness to pursue unconventional weapons. The training facility in Minneapolis operates behind closed doors and drawn curtains. Inside, rows of pigeons occupy individual compartments, each bird facing a small projection screen mounted at eye level. The screens display aerial reconnaissance photographs, images captured from bombers flying over Japanese-held territories, German industrial centers, strategic targets across two hemispheres of global conflict. The photographs show factories from 5,000 feet, battleships from altitude, bridges spanning rivers, fuel depots clustered near rail lines. Skinner's team begins with basic operant conditioning. A pigeon is placed before a screen showing an aerial photograph of a Japanese battleship. The image appears. If the bird pecks at the ship's outline within 5 seconds, a food dispenser delivers grain. If the bird fails to peck or pecks at empty ocean surrounding the target, nothing happens. No punishment, no negative reinforcement, just absence of reward. The pigeon learns quickly. Within hours, it pecks the battleship outline reliably. Within days, it pecks the instant the image appears, having learned association between specific visual patterns and food reward. Training escalates in complexity. The photographs change angles. The same battleship appears from different altitudes, different approach vectors, in different lighting conditions, partially obscured by clouds or haze. The pigeon must recognize the target regardless of presentation. Most birds master this within weeks. Some achieve recognition rates exceeding 85% accuracy across hundreds of varied images. The best performers approach 90%, responding to target images faster than human observers can consciously register what they are seeing. Skinner's team develops the guidance mechanism in parallel with training. The design is elegant in its directness. A pigeon is secured in a small harness inside the nose cone of a bomb, positioned before a transparent screen. As the bomb falls, the screen displays the ground rushing up toward power impact, a real-time view of terrain passing below. The pigeon, trained to recognize a specific target, sees that target appear on screen and responds with the only behavior it knows, pecking at the center of the target image. The peck triggers a mechanical system. A small sensor detects where the beak strikes the screen. If the pigeon pecks left of center, pneumatic controls adjust the bomb's fins to steer left, bringing the target toward screen center. If the pigeon pecks right, the bomb steers right. The bird continuously pecks at the target, and the bomb continuously adjusts trajectory to align the target with the bird's peck location, which is screen center, which is the bomb's impact point. The system incorporates redundancy. 3 pigeons occupy each bomb's nose cone, each bird facing identical screens showing the same descending view. Each bird pecks at the recognized target. A voting system averages the 3 inputs, compensating for any individual bird's distraction or error. If one pigeon fixates on the wrong target, the other 2 override its input. Testing begins with simulators, ground-based apparatus that mimics a bomb's descent without the inconvenience of actual flight. Pigeons are harnessed into mock nose cones. Screens show recorded footage of terrain passing below at velocities matching terminal velocity for a falling bomb. The birds peck frantically as trained targets appear and pass. The guidance system responds, adjusting simulated fins, tracking how accurately the system would guide a real bomb toward real targets. Results exceed expectations. Pigeons maintain focus during simulated descents, lasting 30 to 40 seconds, the approximate time from bomb release at 5,000 feet to ground impact. They continue pecking even as the ground image expands, rushing up at speeds that would terrify human observers. They demonstrate no fear, no hesitation, only the learned behavior drilled into them through thousands of training repetitions. See target, peck target, receive reward. The simulators show potential. Accuracy within 20 feet of target from 5,000-foot release altitude. This precision surpasses conventional bombing accuracy by orders of magnitude. A bomb guided by the 3 trained pigeons could strike a specific building in a factory complex, a particular ship in a harbor formation, a precise section of bridge span. Skinner's documentation grows thick with data tables, performance graphs, statistical analyses, proving what should be impossible. Pigeons can guide bombs with greater precision than mechanical systems costing thousands of times more to develop and manufacture. 1944, a classified facility in Minneapolis prepares for visitors. Military officers arrive from Washington, representatives from the National Defense Research Committee, engineers specializing in guidance systems, skeptics who have read reports about Project Pigeon with increasing disbelief. Skinner and his team have prepared a demonstration designed to convert skepticism into funding. The visitors enter a laboratory where a bomb-shaped simulator sits at the room's center, its nose cone transparent, revealing 3 pigeons in individual harnesses. Each bird faces a small screen. Skinner explains the system in clinical terms. Pigeons trained through operant conditioning to recognize specific targets. Screens displaying real-time ground view during bomb descent. Pecking behavior mechanically translated to control surface adjustments. 3-bird redundancy eliminating individual error. Expected accuracy within 20 feet from 5,000-foot altitude. The visitors listen with expressions ranging from polite interest to barely concealed contempt. Skinner activates the simulator. The screens illuminate, showing aerial footage recorded from armor aircraft over a Japanese naval facility. Ships cluster in harbor. Support buildings line the waterfront. The footage begins playing, simulating a bomb's descent from 5,000 feet. The ground rushes upward, details resolving from abstract patterns into recognizable structures. The pigeons erupt into frantic pecking. All 3 birds strike their screens repeatedly, fixated on the largest battleship in the harbor formation. The guidance mechanism responds, simulated fins adjusting, the descent trajectory shifting to align with the averaged peck locations. The ship expands, filling the screens, individual gun turrets becoming visible. The pigeons never stop pecking, never lose focus, striking the ship's image at rates exceeding 4 pecks per second. The simulator displays the projected impact point, 23 feet from the battleship's centerline. The visitors watch in silence. Skinner runs the demonstration again with different footage, a German industrial complex identifiable by distinctive smokestacks. The pigeons recognize it instantly and begin pecking. The simulator shows projected impact within 18 feet of the primary factory building. A third demonstration uses a bridge as target. Projected impact 15 feet from optimal destruction point. The room remains quiet after the demonstrations conclude. How reliable is recognition across varied conditions? Skinner presents data showing 80 to 90% accuracy across lighting variations, weather conditions, approach angles. How quickly can pigeons be trained? Approximately 6 weeks from initial conditioning to mission-ready proficiency. One officer asks the question everyone is thinking: what happens to the pigeons? Skinner's answer is direct and unapologetic. They die on impact. The birds are guidance systems, organic components in explosive ordnance. They guide the bomb to target and cease to exist when the bomb detonates. The room's atmosphere shifts. Military officers accustomed to discussing weapons and strategic bombing campaigns find themselves uncomfortable with the specifics of weaponizing living creatures as single-use suicide guidance systems. These are not soldiers choosing combat. They are birds trained through behavioral conditioning to perform a task whose completion means their death. Project Pigeon is renamed Project Orcon for Organic Control, a designation that sounds technical rather than avian. Funding increases to over $200,000. Authorization for expanded testing is granted. Japanese intelligence services learn of the project through channels never fully identified. Post-war examination of Japanese military documents reveals awareness of American research into biological guidance systems. Japanese researchers reportedly expressed disturbed fascination with American willingness to weaponize nature itself, to transform birds into precision instruments of destruction. Spring 1944. Project Orcon achieves all technical milestones. Pigeons guide simulated bombs with precision exceeding mechanical alternatives. Training protocols produce mission-ready birds in 6-week cycles. Field testing authorization moves through bureaucratic channels toward final approval. In parallel, electronic guidance technology advances rapidly. Radar systems improve resolution. Radio-controlled glide bombs demonstrate effectiveness in European theater. Gyroscopic systems become more stable. Drift rates decrease. Manufacturing costs drop. Early television-guided bombs show promise, offering visual guidance without biological components. Military planners compare options. Pigeon guidance works, achieves superior accuracy to early electronic systems, costs less than radar development. But pigeons introduce biological variables absent from electronics. A bird might die from stress before bomb release. Extreme cold at altitude could impair response times. Combat conditions might include situations pigeons never encounter in training. Electronics lack these vulnerabilities. Transistors do not require food, water, or behavioral conditioning. They operate in temperature extremes, function in darkness using infrared sensors, never tire. Current electronic guidance systems lag pigeon performance, but improvement trajectories favor technology over biology. The cost analysis extends beyond direct expenses. Training 3 pigeons per bomb requires ongoing programs. Facilities, personnel, breeding stock. Manufacturing electronic guidance units requires initial development investment, but then scales through industrial production. 1,000 bombs need 3,000 trained pigeons and continuous training infrastructure. 1,000 electronic guidance units need 1 factory and raw materials. October 1944. Project Orcon receives official termination notice. The decision includes acknowledgement of technical success. Pigeons demonstrated guidance accuracy superior to contemporary electronic systems. The research advanced understanding of operant conditioning and biological integration with mechanical systems. Skinner's work proved living organisms could guide weapons with deadly precision, but electronics represented the future. Military investment pivoted toward radar, radio control, television guidance, technologies that would evolve into modern cruise missiles, capable of striking targets with meter-level precision from hundreds of kilometers distance. The legacy of Project Orcon lives in unexpected places. Skinner's operant conditioning research, refined through pigeon training for bomb guidance, influenced post-war psychology and became foundational to behaviorist approaches. The precision guidance concept, biological implementation abandoned, electronic implementation perfected, defines contemporary warfare. Final statistics document the project's scope and ultimate irrelevance. 64 pigeons trained successfully to mission-ready status, over $200,000 invested, 0 combat missions flown, 0 enemy targets struck, 0 pigeons died guiding actual bombs toward actual enemies. Post-war revelations add disturbing footnotes. Japanese researchers examining captured American documents studied Project Orkan with horrified fascination. Their notes described the program as evidence of American pragmatism unrestrained by conventional ethical boundaries, a willingness to weaponize nature itself in pursuit of tactical advantage. The final irony compounds. Project Orkan was designed to solve a precision bombing problem that conventional weapons addressed through saturation. The atomic bombs that ended the Pacific War in August 1945 represented ultimate precision through overwhelming force. One bomb, one city, absolute certainty of target destruction regardless of accuracy. Pigeons guiding conventional explosives became triply obsolete, surpassed by electronics, rendered unnecessary by nuclear weapons, and forgotten in histories that prefer discussing radar and rockets over behaviorist psychology and weaponized birds. The crazy American bird plan terrified Japanese researchers not because it threatened immediate tactical danger, but because it revealed a mindset willing to transform any available resource into weaponry, to pursue any avenue offering marginal advantage, to blur boundaries between living and mechanical in service of strategic goals. That mindset, more than any specific weapon system, defined American approach to total war and presaged technological developments that would reshape warfare in decades following victory.